Welcome to the Hangry Games Arena, where Kelly Brewster, the author of What's Eating You and host of the Hangry Games, is shaking up the weight loss world. She's providing you with tons of resources and helpful tips to obtain your long-term wellness and weight loss goals once and for all. The Hangry Games is recorded and produced at Open Space Studios.
How you doing, Hangry Game Nation? I pray all is well and you're having a great week so far. I'm hoping that you are moving along steadfastly in your wellness and weight loss journey. And I'm just hoping that you've been picking up some great nuggets the last few months with the podcast, hopefully not chicken nuggets, you know what I'm saying? And that it's just helped you to shore up some areas that in this journey that you're in that's taken you to the turf maybe a time or two. Just remember this, whether you are the tortoise or the hare when it comes to weight loss, you get to the finish line. It doesn't matter. It's your pace. It's your race, right? So before I start, I have to tell you, it's been an interesting day so far where I do my podcast. We let ourselves in. If anybody knows me, they know that the one thing that I absolutely am just petrified, other than snakes, that's one thing. But the other thing I just absolutely am petrified about is an alarm going off when I walk into a building or what have you. And so I let myself in and I was just all excited. It's my first time being able to do the machine myself and all that. And I get in and it was like, wow, wow. And I was like, oh my gosh. So if I seem a little like keyed up, that may be why. So last week was absolutely phenomenal. It was an amazing, amazing week. Not only did I have the opportunity to do an official launch party for my book, What's Eating You, with my first book signing, but I had the absolute pleasure to sit in a studio and interrogate. I know it was really an interview, but I wanted to interrogate, but it was an interview with my sister and my brother-in-law. They did an incredible, incredible job. They were just providing some insight into how meal prepping evolves and changes really through the course of our lives, right? And although we realize the process by how we implement prepping, what that looks like and how it's executed kind of differs from one person to person, right? And through different times in our lives, one thing is certain, as you're obtaining this weight loss goal and you're trying to maintain it, is you will always need to have a proactive mindset or a prepping mindset, no matter where you find yourself in this journey. I hope you did your homework or your takeaways and worked on some of those things. When you listen to something like a podcast like this or a talk of some sort, you know you're going to get some retention with it. But when you apply it to your life and there's an application there, that's when true change and transformation can really begin, right? So I've had several people ask me, why Hangry Game Nation? You know, who is this nation that you're actually referring to? Where are these people that you're talking about? You can't possibly have a nation of people following you, do you really? Not yet, but from your mouth to his ears, right? This is the deal. Hangry Game Nation is each of you. It is a collective of different individuals that have a common goal, and it provides resources and mechanisms so that we can help each other and everyone out there to improve the processes. Now, why is that so important? Because it does take a village, people. It really, really does. Someone that's on top of a mountain did not get there by themselves. No one, no way, no how, okay? Especially when it comes to weight loss and long-term wellness. There is someone in your life that you have listened to, that's encouraged you, maybe gave you a kick in the pants. Enter Kelly. When you needed it, you just got that kick. It's one of my favorite things to do. And celebrated with you when you hit some serious milestones. Like my patients the other day when they had a culmination of 300 pounds together, I was so jacked up that day. It was amazing. So let's face it, it is super difficult to muster up the motivation to lose weight sometimes, especially if we're on this journey imano or, by ourselves. Can it be done without a cheering section, without a triage area to mend your disappointments, or without a teacher to direct and equip you with the right tools? Yeah, it probably could be. But the likelihood of long term success is going to be a little bit less obtainable. Look, there is the goat. Now, everybody thinks there's a different goat, right? Okay, I'm not talking about like the goat, that kind of thing. I'm talking about the greatest of all time. That's what GOAT stands for, right? The greatest of all time, some people think it's Michael Jordan. But did he just walk onto that court that day and just start dropping deuces and trips? No, he had a coach that believed in him, and he helped him to stay focused and helped him to start playing and go through drills and fundamentals and learn the basics, and he directed him along the way. He likely had mentors along the way to encourage him, and sometimes, admonish him when he needed it, to encourage his potential to be fully visualized, right? And I'm sure he had a lot to do with that process, right? But he had somebody. What about Muhammad Ali? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, right? He had a coach. He had somebody that was not only encouraging him when he was training for big matches and getting into the ring, but he had somebody in his corner so that when he was between rounds, he had somebody that was helping him to recognize the opponent's weaknesses and his weaknesses as well. And then he had somebody cheering him on when he was out in the ring. Okay, so you can't relate to any of these guys. That's fine. How about this? Drew Brees didn't do it alone. Christy Alley and Oprah, Weight Watchers. Marie Osmond, Nutrisystem. These guys didn't do it alone, guys. They likely have a team of folks to push and prod along the way. You're still not convinced. I got it. That's okay. That's fine. What about doctors, attorneys, entrepreneurs? Yes, they achieve incredible heights in their careers, but they had someone somewhere helping in some capacity. I could go on forever here, but hopefully by this point, you realize, yes, someone can achieve long-term wellness and weight loss on their own, but having someone pushing you along this journey actually is a game changer, and it provides the potential for even greater success. There is no I in team, we know that, and a team can make all the difference in the world, especially when we're hit with the plateaus and, yes, the valleys. Just remember this, without the valleys, we don't have the mountains or the peaks, right? So we have to be prepared for some of those lulls and some of those declines along the way. So go figure. Today, we are going to be talking about accountability, your own accountability, and how to incorporate a mentor, not a mento, a mentor, coach, or partner into this journey of yours. Now, when you discuss accountability, you need to realize that the buck stops with you. You could delegate, right? When we discuss accountability, it stops with you. You can delegate, absolutely, you can delegate. But ultimately, the decisions you make in this weight loss journey rest on your shoulders. Quick story of how I learned the art of delegation and who's ultimately responsible or accountable. My parents, I left for the weekend to get my dad, and they were going to pick up his new boat in Texas, and they left me in charge of my younger sister, Tracy, for the night. Newsflash, I was 16 and I had goose egg ounce of responsibility, but I digress. Okay. So my best friend, Monica, and I are floating in my brother's pool. We're tanning, we're having a great time. And my sister asked if she could drive my car. I told her no. She came back and she asked again. I told her no. She asked again. Yes, she could be very persistent. And finally, I said, sure, you can back it out, but you need to vacuum the inside. And I'm thinking, this is a major win-win here. And I should really be Sister of the Year. I'm like thinking, I'm ready for the trophy. Let's shine it up, get it on the shelves. Let's go. So she finishes vacuuming and she starts pulling the car out of the garage. In fact, she's so excited. She's backing out and she's kind of waving at us at the pool, and things go south really quick. Okay. She sideswipes my dad's company car. Okay. She obviously was freaking out so much that she proceeded to put it into drive and redo the damage even more. I'm out of the pool in 2 steps, one to the edge, one over. And my friend she just vanishes. She's just gone. She's out of there. And so the first thing I say is, man, you're going to be in so much trouble when Dad gets home. My friend was like shaking her head, but she was out, right? And I really felt confident. I felt confident. I'm not in trouble here. You're in trouble. Boy, was I wrong. He saw that damage as he came around the corner on the highway, and needless to say, I learned truly what delegation was that day. And that's all about that story that I'm going to give you because the rest is even worse. But anyway, if you delegate someone to do something, you are ultimately accountable for the outcome. Honey, did you get the chickpea rice for dinner tonight? If he forgets to pick that up, you are ultimately responsible and accountable for what you choose to eat during the course of that meal, right? Not like, oh, well, he didn't get it, so I guess I'm going to have to eat rice tonight. No, you delegated. It didn't happen. You're still accountable. On vacation, everybody wants to go to the new restaurant called Fried Everything, and you still need to be accountable for your actions. Doesn't matter if you got outvoted or not. You have to make those decisions and live with those decisions, correct? All right, so accountability in weight loss means you realize that the buck stops with you. We talked about that. Examples like with your eating, with your exercise, with your medication compliance, it's all on you. We're going to talk about some effective ways to sustain your willpower and your weight loss with this accountability, and kind of some tactics that are tried and true, and what a designated eater, that's what I thought was really kind of cute. I thought that was funny, or your accountability partner, what that might look like for you, and the benefits of maybe having a health coach or a medical professional as your designated eater. Now, according to an article by Healthy Living, there are 4 effective ways to sustain your willpower and your weight loss accountability. First of all, setting a very specific and long-term goal. I like to call this, it's your overall desired outcome, or AKA the big why. And it's probably one of the first questions that I ask my patients when they come in and see me for a consultation is, what's your big why? Why? Why do you want to do this? Because when you understand what the long-term goal is, then you're going to be more apt to maintain your progress through the course of time, even with your valleys and your peaks, right? So the big why drives your motivation, but understanding the outcome that you're looking for will not happen overnight, and it will definitely not happen without a lot of blood, sweat, and maybe a few tears. There will be some elbow grease, absolutely no way around that. And you've got to understand that every process takes time, and it requires a tremendous amount of patience to reach the long-term goals that you've set for yourself. So realize that you know your big why. Well, I'm not going to get there next week. That's the big one. We're going to make some smaller specific goals, but that's the big long-term goal, correct? So this leads me to my next point. Writing things down. We have plenty of journaling suggestions in the What's Eating You workbook, which is free on our website, prepforit.com, because remember, think about this. Failing to plan means you need to plan to fail, right? So without a really hard kind of glass check, it kind of, and this is, just from a perspective of figuratively speaking, if we don't glass check ourselves and know where we're living during the course of the week, then how do we know if the plan's even working or not? If I don't evaluate this at all, how do I know where I am, right? So one of the things we developed through the PrEP steps, or the Prepford steps, is the PEER, P-E-E-R acronym, and it stands for Prep, Eat, Evaluate, and Repeat. Plain and simple. It's plain and simple. I do recommend working through the PEER acronym at least weekly, and that the questions should go something like this. Now, all the questions I do are based on PrEP steps. So the first one's going to be a little bit focused on perception. And so one of the questions may be, how is your perception of your PrEP process through the course of this week? Were there any false perceptions that may have created unexpected obstacles for you this week? Something to think about. Rationalization is that second step in the prep process. Did I rationalize any food or meal choices in the last week? And if so, how can I avoid that in the next week, right? Did I rationalize my preparation in any way this week? Like, well, because it's such and such, I can't do this. Do you see what I'm saying? Remember, rationalization, AKA excuses, right? The third step is the expectation step. And some of the questions you can ask in that peer process is, did I establish any false expectations during the last week? Did I say, okay, this week I got to lose 3 pounds? Well, maybe that's a false expectation for you, right? Did the expectations I had help me to reach my weekly goal? We should have weekly goals. We have the big why, right? That big why, but what is my weekly goal? If so, how can I use this expectation moving forward? If I have a really great expectation, it was right on target, I met my goal, it was perfect, then I gotta use that, and I gotta take advantage of that, The last one, the preparation step, did I successfully prepare over the last week? And again, list wins, list opportunities. There's always an opportunity somewhere. And what can I change to be better prepared for the next week? Maybe next week I need groceries delivered, or pre-cut veggies, or pre-washed veggies, or have disposable cookware. What can I do in that peer process when I'm evaluating the week that can help me for the next one so that I can really be prepared and ready? There are fantastic apps like MyFitnessPal, Lose It, Weight Watchers has a great app that make journaling super easy. They provide real-time data for your peer exercises, and they give you great feedback on everything from your daily protein to carb ratio that you've consumed, your sleeping patterns. Are you fitting in that sleeping range that you should be in? And it can even track your exercise and your physical activity. So it's really good, and it gives you a lot of real-time data back. Now, most of these apps can even give you like an expected time frame to reach your weight loss goals based on your calorie intake and your desired weight loss. But here is the deal though. Here we go. You delegate into the app, but you have to be accountable enough to input the data routinely so that you can get the most accurate information about your progress and the areas that you need to focus on more closely. Just remember, knowledge is power. And the more you input to these apps and into your journaling and all those kind of things, and the more data that you put in, the more power you're going to get back, because that's going to provide that additional knowledge that you need. And as we talked previously, having scheduled weigh-ins provides a mechanism as well, just to keep you locked into that long-term wellness goals that you have established. Now, to avoid chasing rabbits here, I'm not going to chase rabbits. There are a lot of opinions as to how often, should I weigh in, best time to weigh in, yada, yada, yada. I'm just going to have you refer back to the episode on the weight loss benefits, because we in nauseam go over all of that. So I'm not going to digress here. I'm just going to let you check that out over there. The last is to keep yourself motivated. We all have a knack for holding a pity party for one, please, right? But we need to acquire is an ability to self-motivate, to invest positive deposits into our lives daily. Podcast, hint, hint, LOL, right? Keeping a gratitude journal. This one is actually huge, because when you feel you are in a mood to have that pity party, or a mood and mingle, depending on how you want to do it, the journal does provide concrete occurrences and events that you can be grateful for, right? And often it does turn those gray skies from that you're just kind of sulking into maybe a better color of blue, right? So sometimes going back to what you're thankful for always makes things better and more positive. Consider writing down an inspirational quote, or saying that, some saying that's maybe your life theme, as long as it's positive, okay? Or even a scripture, and put it where you can visibly see it every single day. All things are possible. Paint the barn door till the paint sticks. That's one of my favorites to say. It's now or never, baby. Anything that you feel like is a driving force for you, jot it down, put it on something, put it on your mirror, put it in your car, put it on your desk, put it on your screensaver. I don't care where you put it as long as you see it, and it helps you to stay positive and motivated. I always start I always start with prayer. I just thank God for a lot of things in my life that we can normally take for granted, like breathing, speaking, talking, walking, doing. And when you do that first, all the other stuff kind of becomes very incidental, right? And it just puts things in immediate perspective. For some, they meditate, which provides them a mechanism to stay positive and create an environment for long term success. In order for you to keep yourself motivated and accountable, it is important to make the journey, your wellness and weight loss journey, a top priority in your life. And we talked about this in the first episode, and it's the small common thread that comes out throughout all of these podcasts is to find that aha moment, right? When does weight loss journey escalate to the top of the priority list is usually happens when you do have that aha moment. Also make sure to plan. I want you to plan everything. I don't want you to have a bored life or an obsessed life or a demanding life. But when you proactively plan, you do reduce a lot of anxiety that occurs in your life. And, we talked about this previously, but the fact of the matter is plans work for your long-term success. And again, it reduces the anxiety. And what happens when we have high anxiety? We may make unwanted emotional food choices. So there's a reason why we do that planning. It keeps us stable, calm, and removing the emotional monster factor, right? So as we referred to this earlier, it takes a village to truly see the long-term success, right? But Kelly, you've been talking about me the whole time. I got to do this and I got to do that. And I'm accountable whether I delegate and blah, blah, blah. And right, I did. So what better way to achieve long-term wellness and weight loss and in anything we're trying to accomplish than to have a maybe workout buddy or a weight loss buddy, a BFF. You got a weight loss BFF or diet BFF. My sister touched on this last week when she mentioned, this was phenomenal. I thought this was such a great point. She mentioned meal prepping with a friend and how encouraging it was to both of them. And I just thought it was such an impactful point. They got to spend quality time together while they were working on a common goal, prepping, right? And then they had amazing results that they could reap throughout the course of the week. So every time they pulled a meal out, they got to think about a memory or something that happened, something they laughed about. Not to mention that when you're kind of gets tough through the course of the week, there is somebody that you can call that understands where the mully grubs are and what you need to do to work your way out of it. So having that person in your life, that diet soulmate, can be a big deal for you. If you decide to incorporate this into your journey, ensure that you got somebody that's reliable. They can reciprocate with motivation. They're encouraging. They give you feedback. You do not want an Eeyore. Woe is me. I can't do this. No. Cut the tie right there, okay? We don't want a pessimist. We don't want somebody that's overcritical, but we also don't want somebody that's so unrealistic positively that it affects getting our realistic goals met. Having a designated eater, the DE, works when you find your, like I said, diet soulmate, and just keep that in mind. Think of it like this. You're looking for your Thelma and Louise for your weight loss journey, right? If you choose to go with a health coach or a medical provider as a DE or your accountability partner, then I've got a few tips to make sure that you are getting the best bang for your buck. They can challenge you. I do challenge my patients. Some of them, I one time told my patient, I was like, I don't know if I'm the Joe Rogan or the Medea of weight loss. She goes, you're the Medea. I was like, I will accept that. Thank you. They can definitely challenge you, and they can give you some motivational boost when you need it the most. So help identify areas that can be very self-destructive. I think it's very important that when you are working with an individual that is looking to you to help them in this process, to help them to identify some self-destructive habits, some things that they don't see it. It's too close. They're myopic. They have very near vision and they cannot see it. And you've got this vision where you're looking at it like you're looking at the little ants on the farm. And so you see everything that's going on, and you may be able to bring some motivational strategies to the table that can definitely benefit them. They have worked with enough individuals, you want somebody seasoned, that they know what works and what doesn't, and they can pretty much cut to the chase in regards to a workable success plan for you. You don't need to reinvent this again. You see what I'm saying? So, and a lot of times what I'll do with my patients that come into the clinic, I will, you learn to become very methodical in a sense when you're doing an assessment of an individual and you're trying to assess what's the areas that we need to focus on to improve their most, to improve the success for the wellness and weight loss. And you've done this enough that you can see some things, some triggers immediately so that you can kind of get streamlined and get to that plan a little bit quicker than what somebody else may do if they don't have that background and that strategy in place. As with everything, you still need to be able to sniff out the phonies. They're there. You got to sniff them out. Or maybe those that just don't maybe have your best interest in mind. There are a lot of providers out there right now. There are a lot of weight loss clinics out there right now. And I think, look, there's enough of us that have issues with our weight and our wellness that there's enough people out there to help others to gain some success, right? But there are a lot of individuals out there that are just trying to make a buck. And you need to be aware of that because you're coming in a very vulnerable state. You're upset. You're like my sister said last week, I just couldn't wait to get off of vacation because I just was tired of doing this. And when you go to a provider and you're looking for some direction, you're at that point, really. And so you really do want to find somebody that is going to not just do it for the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So if a couple of things that I want you to be aware of, you want to be able to make sure that if your coach sounds kind of like a robot, they sound like they've said something 1,000 times the same way, almost like it's a cookie cutter or pre-populated response, especially like, okay, you're texting your health coach or you're portaling your provider and you're like, hey, we bumped up my medicine to this amount and I've been doing this and I did this and I saw 5 pounds in 2 weeks. If you get a canned text, great job, way to go, high five, emoji, okay, that's canned. If somebody's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you, I cannot believe this, they want to hug you, they can't wait to celebrate that milestone with you, then you're in the right place. Okay. You want somebody that is going to provide very constructive feedback, but with a little bit of a positive motivation. I have, and I'm going to give you a little secret that I use in a lot of different ways. I use what's called the Oreo method. No, it is not an Oreo cookie. Okay. But it is the good, bad, good. Good is the cookie. Bad is the white. Good is the cookie. So I always start with something positive. I look at weight. I look at what they're on, what they've been doing. How's everything been going? Well, that's really great. I'm excited for you that you've done da-da-da-da-da. And then I may come in and say, well, here's where I see that maybe we have an opportunity that don't you think that we can maybe work on or improve so that we can see some continued success here, right? Because I really love seeing you come in and having those positive moments. It really, I love that. Good, bad, good. If they never help you to identify that underlying problem, that's a problem, okay? Most people know what healthy eating looks like, right? We know. We know that a Big Mac isn't good. We know that part, right? But we want somebody that knows how to help us navigate through the process, right? Here's the deal. If they can't figure out that you have a thyroid issue and they're a provider, or they can't figure out that you have a metabolic condition or you're pre-diabetic or something else is going on, then you probably aren't in the right spot. And you want somebody that's going to help you figure out if there's any barriers to where you can be and how to get past those and get into maybe some positive strategies and stuff. Another one is if they're not focused on that triad of treatment and they're just worried about helping you with one part of the management plan. So in other words, if you go in to see a provider or a physician or a nurse practitioner or a weight loss clinic and they go, okay, well, you're on this med and you're this weight, so we're going to do this. Okay, any questions? If that happens, I'm a little concerned for you because you want somebody that's going to focus on that triad of treatment. You want somebody that's going to ask you about the exercise, hold you accountable to that. Somebody that's going to talk to you about the eating plan and the behavioral changes and where can we shore up some areas and maybe here's where we can let go of some stuff. So you really want to make sure that you've got that person that can identify all of those areas of the treatment plan. And you don't want to be with somebody that's not going to be there with you when the going gets tough for you. And this is a tough one because there are patients, there are individuals, there are people out there that do struggle, and you got to you got to be in that with them. You're going to be in the trenches with them for the long haul. I think about it like this. You know me, the queen of analogies, right? So I got an analogy for you today. So let's say you are going to go on a safari, okay? And you pay to pay a guide because you obviously don't want to do this on your own. I don't know the safari. I don't know the jungle well, right? So I need somebody to help me get through it. And so I pay for this guide to bring me through the plains to look for Simba, right? And you saved up, you spent time packing, planning, getting to the checkpoint, and then you meet the guide at the checkpoint and he tells you, oh, it's nice to have you here. Here's your Jeep. Here's your keys. Jump right in. See that road right over there? Go down that road. Take a left at that bush right there. And just start looking for a few antelope. And Simba might pop up right over there. What? No. You want somebody that's educated, trained, that's familiar with different eating issues, weight issues, metabolic disorders to set you up for the best opportunity for success. I want a trainer. I want a guide who's going to be in the Jeep with me and get right to the nitty gritty, the good stuff, right? I want to see Simba. If I'm going to the safari, I want to see something, right? If you find a coach or a provider that is pennies on the dollar, guys, I found somebody, I didn't have to pay very much at all. It was great. They will likely be providing you a cookie cutter approach to your weight loss. And you really kind of do get what you pay for. And I am not going to pick on anybody here, but I will tell you, right? A lot of the stuff that you see on social media, learn more, find us, watch this video, those kind of things, the infomercials, right? And they're not providing that individualized coaching. There is a plan there that's in place and it's not individualized. It may only be like, $50, $80. We took 50% off, 70% off, whatever. And now it's only $50. You're likely not going to have that customized plan that you might need in your life at that time. And it's not that you do need a customized plan, but what you certainly want to do is make sure that there's nothing that's going to create a barrier to your success, right? So the last one that I'm going to talk about is to mention if they are okay just kind of letting you quit or bail on your program. I can honestly say I am not a quitter. It just drives me insane. And I will do my very best to help a patient get to the end result as much as I possibly can. And we're going to try as many different ways as we possibly can. I've had a few patients, I will be transparent, that have they walked away. And but they didn't have their aha moment yet. And the thing about it is that a provider or a weight loss clinic or a coach, a health coach, a life coach, they can't have the aha moment for you. All they can do is help you with your aha moment. Does that make sense? And so if that person that's seeing me and I'm trying all these different things with them, but they really haven't had the aha moment, that moment of resolute, like I've got to do this, there's no other way, it's got to be done, then it's going to be more difficult for that provider or that coach the mentor to really be able to successfully help you along that journey. Remember this, we talked about this early, there's always hills, there's always valleys, and you need somebody that's going to have pulleys, ropes, and safety gear so that you can make sure that you're going to make it to that next incline, right? And so it is nice to have that village along the way. I cannot believe this. We're at the end. This just felt super quick to me. It always does. It really does. I love doing these podcasts. They're a lot of fun. I love sharing information with you guys that hopefully provides those, nudges, maybe the nuggets along the way. Please make sure to check out prepforit.com. Remember, we put together a lot of free resources and tools just to make sure that the Hangry Game Nation has what it needs for your best success. Have an awesome week this week. Remember, this is your race. It's your pace. And may the odds always be in your favor. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.